Hello everyone, Jim Clark here at the Synchronicity Sanctuary here in Central Virginia with another contemplation to share with you. We've had a brief absence here with some programming that we have experienced here at the sanctuary, and it's been great, but I had to give up my broadcast for a couple of weeks here due to commitments for the program that was happening here live. Okay, so this week anyway, we're back up and we're running, and the contemplation that I'm sharing with you today is the source of all existence is non-existence. Simultaneity is unified consciousness. The source of all existence is non-existence. Being is the source of all becoming. The unmanifest is the source of all manifestation. Yet all experience is relative, and therefore one polarity cannot be experienced except in relation to the other. And this is the mechanics of the human experience. We experience ourselves as human beings in manifestation, which can only occur in a polarized field of relative experience. One polarity gives us contrast to its opposite, and from that contrast we have experience. If I'm good, it's only in relation to being bad. If I am old, it's only experience in relation to young, and on and on and on. So this is the playground for manifestation, all manifestation. And that is why the source of manifestation remains hidden to us until we can create enough balance within ourselves to tap into the non-dominant positive polarity, which is non-existence. It's being. Becoming is the dominant default polarity in manifestation. When you first come into manifestation, your consciousness contracted into form, and from that contractive process you forfeit your awareness of who you truly are as source, as consciousness. And in order to regain that awareness, one must set out to shift the balance within yourself from the negative dominant to the positive dominant. And this simply requires putting a focus on that which is not easy, which is not normal in manifestation. And what's normal in manifestation is that we're always looking out. The world is out there, our problems are out there, our relationships are with someone outside of ourselves, and on and on and on. There's a whole world around us that is separate from us. And this is the illusion of separation that comes with the dominant negative polarity. And we appear to be somewhat at the mercy of circumstances and relationships and so forth, but this is really not true at all. Our source, where we come from, is who we are, pure being, the unmanifest, the absolute. It's also, all the ancient texts point to the source of existence as the absolute, because the absolute, in the absolute state, there is no polarity. There is no duality whatsoever. There is only one source consciousness, simply being itself. That's it. And that's really what's happening here too, only it's pretending to be other than it is. It's pretending to be billions of human beings, billions of planets, many universes, and so forth and so on. It's the creative impulse within the absolute to create experience of itself by pretending to be something other than itself, only to rediscover itself through the process of that. And this is what our journey, this is what spirituality is really based upon, is that that intention and consciousness, to fully be itself. And in order to fully be itself, it has to pretend like it's something other than itself so that it can rediscover itself for who it truly is and what it truly is. And this is happening through every individual human being on the planet. And who knows where else and how else. But from our perspective as human beings, we fully believe that we are something, that we are a physical entity with a name and an identity, a family, and so forth. And that there is some God or some holy entity or all-powerful entity that rules over all of creation, but we are separate from that. And this has been the experience of humanity since the dawn of time, as far as we know. And yet, the truth is that there can be no other. There can be nothing outside of yourself that is more than yourself, because there is only one source consciousness, and that's all there is. And all of manifestation comes from the absolute, from pure being. The positive polarity, which is the beginning of the cycle of manifest experience, is created first, and out of that is born becoming. This is where we experience ourselves as separate individuals, and the doing in life, and the challenges in living, the temporality of life, being born and dying and growing old and so forth and so on. This is all part of the manifestation that is part of the illusion of separation. So as we go through life and we journey ourselves as human beings, eventually we become fulfilled in that experience. We have enough experience as being something separate from who we truly are that we begin to instinctively move towards the positive polarity more. We become curious as to what the truth of life really is. We don't know what it is, but we know that there's got to be something more to life than what we have experienced before. And when this happens, usually there is some form of a teacher or some experience that will open us up to the truth of who we are. And then this is really the beginning of the journey, spiritual journey to becoming enlightened, which simply means you realize who you really are after not knowing this and believing that you are something less than who you truly are. And to that end, there's a quotation I like to share here from Gertrude Stein. When you get there, there isn't any there. In other words, there's nothingness, there's nothing. There's no manifest reality whatsoever in the absolute. So we come out of nothing and we go back into nothing. Nothing, of course, is simply a word that points to our inability to perceive anything, to experience something as an individual. This is where nothing is. But what nothing is in truth is far from what we perceive nothing to be, what we believe nothing to be. Nothing is really the source of everything. And yet we perceive it to be empty. Yet it's anything but empty. The truth is that when you're in manifest form and you're not aware of the truth of who you are, that is the emptiness that human beings refer to when life seems to be far, far from anything fulfilling for them. And it's this fulfillment that people are constantly seeking, even though they don't quite know what that might be. That was my experience through most of my life. I knew there was something I wanted, but I just didn't know what it was. And that is the primary intention in consciousness, the intention from which manifestation is born. why it comes into existence in the first place. And that intention is simply to be itself fully. And that is how it creates that experience, and that's how pretending to be what it is not, and then rediscovering what it is, rediscovering itself through itself for the sake of itself. So we are all consciousness. We are all forms born out of consciousness. We're not other than consciousness, because that's all there really is. There can be nothing else. That's it. So the ultimate conclusion that people come to when they're ready to come to it is that they are the all and everything of existence. And that's, even though you're in a form, even though you're still in the relative field of experience, where duality is existing in order to create the possibility of experience, you can still realize the truth of who you are in that experience. And the simultaneity of being non-dual within duality, of being whole and complete in a world that is where separation is the normal dominant experience, is possible because one exists simultaneously to the other. They're both creations of source consciousness. They're both creations, just that the positive creation is created first, and out of that comes the manifestation of matter, of materiality, and so forth and so on. And this is what makes the simultaneity possible, because the truth of who you are isn't one or the other. The truth of who you are is that you are both, and then more than that. Between the two polarities, there is a space, and in that space, which we tap into when we meditate and live a holistic lifestyle, and we grow our awareness of that space between the polarities, this is what affords us to start to see and recognize the truth of who we are within the human experience. We grow that space, we start to see both polarities as the same source consciousness. And as we do, we experience ourselves as the truth of who we are, which is an energetic experience, and it cannot be understood through words alone. Words can point to that experience, but they can never fully describe it. And the individual expression of every human being is an appropriate expression as well. We have examples of enlightened beings that go back thousands and thousands of years, and we read about them in the beginning of our process. I know I did, and every time I did, I thought, wow, that's that individual, that expression of that teacher, that guru, that enlightened being, or that saint, seemed to be so far away from anything possible within myself that it seemed to emphasize the illusion of separation to me, and the idea that I could become that was just like, whoa, I don't think I could ever get there. But what is missing in that equation, because we're in that conceptual approach to spirituality, is that the examples that are provided to us through literature and writings and biographies and so forth comes from people who have realized their own truth, but their expression and how they shared their experience is unique to them. And it's how you will express your experience of the truth of who you are when you come into the realization of it will also be unique to you. There is no one expression that's better than the other. So that's what I wanted to share with you this week. The source of all existence is non-existence. Both exist simultaneous to each other because both are the creation of the same source consciousness that I am, that you are. And that is the truth I leave you with, and I hope that you embrace it as much as you can and enjoy the results of that. So until next week, I bid you adieu, and then I will be back to share another quotation, another contemplation with you. Thank you.